Hello and welcome again to some Brandenburg streaming. I am probably not going to play through Brandenburg tonight. It's now 10:15 p.m. On Saturday, uh, and but as I promised the Friday stream, I would document the process of preparing for this Brandenburg concert that I have on Wednesday, and I have a dress rehearsal on Monday and another dress rehearsal, which is probably the real dress rehearsal, right, on Tuesday. And so, and amongst that, I'm doing some teaching and having some meetings, and I've got to get myself in the proper shape. So I probably won't get to play, or sorry, won't get to practice the piece much more than mentally for those 2 days because I'm going to need to play it for maybe a couple of hours at a time, right? So, and I wasn't going to turn the stream on at all today, but I realized that this was something that's maybe a part of practicing in general that people don't always recognize or even understand or know about, which is that it can't always wait until tomorrow, which is what I've subtitled this video. I warmed up this morning. I didn't document it because it was just kind of the same old, same old. It wasn't anything special. I just did my mouthpiece routine. I did some lead pipe buzzing. I did my violin slurs. I'm looking at my journal over here. I did my violin slurs. I did my faster slurs and my high range, and I went up to high A flat, and which is just below the range we need for Brandenburg. And I did all that pretty quickly, I would say, in about 40 minutes, maybe even a little less. Yeah, and that was at 10:15 this morning that I started. Now I'm starting 10:15 tonight. And the reason is because I haven't played piccolo yet today at all, and I need to do that some. I don't have to play through the whole piece over and over again. I've said this many times, I'll say it again. But I'm very tired right now. I drove about 6 hours today, three hours out and 3 hours back. National Trumpet Competition was just down the road, well, 3 hours down the road. And I went to, oh, I'm frozen on screen again, but we know how to fix this. It'll be blackout for a second. We don't actually, I should say, we might know how to fix this. So we're going to do our best. But anyway, so my dad was there as a judge for that, and I went to see him. I'm sort of still getting used to being able to do things like that. Oh, that is not going to work. Let's see if I... Nope, still not working. Well, rip the stream, as the kids say. What I've learned, what I thought I'd learned, is that I have to start one of these things before the other, and I have to quit them both for them to work. That does not seem to be the case anymore. But it does appear that the second thing is the killer. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to quit them both. We're going to try them. So if you're interested at all in all this stuff, I'm using Cam Twist, which is the sort of server part of this. It's creating a channel for OBS to pick up. And the other part is Camera Live, and I said this last stream as well. Camera Live is sending the, is sending the, there we are, I'm back. It's picking up, rather, the camera signal and getting it into the computer, and then Cam Twist is converting that into a readable server for OBS. So maybe we'll get some time out of it. Anyway, so this doesn't help me being tired. I drove all day. I had a nice meal and a nice sort of chat with my dad. But, and I did my, oh man, it's just going to be an awful, well, I should have known, right? So yeah, all this stuff certainly doesn't help my patience with anything. Um, but this is one of the disciplines that you kind of have to think about and work with. Is that it doesn't matter how you feel. There's a certain time frame, and you have to get things done in a certain way. And if you don't feel good, or you just don't feel like it, nobody else cares about that. I'm just going to keep trying. Last time it eventually worked, so we'll see. You can probably hear my camera turning on and off. Um, and but it's why is this important? Because lots of people don't feel like it. In fact, I have some students who they don't even play at first, at least until they've studied with me and understand why. And even then, it sometimes takes them even several semesters. But they don't even play every day. They don't even warm up. They don't even touch the trumpet every day. And there are people in the world where they absolutely get away with that. But they are few and far between. And the truth is that you're probably not one of them. So if you don't know, and you might say, well, no, Gabriel, I play fine. When I don't play for a couple of days, I actually feel better. Well, that's probably because you overplay every day. That's a different thing altogether. And then you need to budget your time better. But there are some people who just are like that, and that's great. I'm not one of them at all. So anyway, here we are. It's a little later than I intended. I wanted to come back. I thought I'd probably be playing around 9, but I didn't leave till later. So here I am, and I need to play piccolo trumpet. I need to play a little bit of Brandenburg. I know some of the spots that I might need to look at, and I mostly just want to play piccolo and feel good about that. But I haven't played in 12 hours or in 11 hours, so I brought my cutout. We're going to do a little bit of cutout buzzing. I don't have my timer in here. We're not going to time anything because the overall time is only going to be probably 10 or 15 minutes. But the point of that is that I have to do something tonight because tomorrow is too late. I'm going to warm up tomorrow. I have all day tomorrow to practice, but I have to be very careful about that day because, like I said before, I'm not going to be able to practice Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday really at any length. So anything I want to get done in my playing, on this piece, whatever, it has to happen tomorrow. And what I can't do is add to that, oh, and by the way, you forgot how to play piccolo trumpet because you just decided not to do it yesterday, right? That just can't be. I can't relearn to play piccolo. And you might say, well, that's an overreaction, Gabriel. You play piccolo on stream a whole bunch. You play piccolo almost every day. What's one day? Well, if I was just playing a wedding or an easier piece, then I might say, yeah, you're right. I can pick it up in 3 days and be fine. But this piece is daunting, and I would rather be tired right now and still really push through the work and make sure that I've done everything I can and still fail maybe, rather than try not to worry about it so much. And in other words, I want to respect the piece and the challenge of it, and make sure that I'm giving it that due respect. And then if I still fail, then that's, well, at least I gave it every effort that I could, as opposed to the opposite, which is if I say, oh yeah, then it's hubris. That's the definition of hubris, is, oh, I can play it even if I don't do everything I could. It's not that big a deal. And some people need that. For some people, that's confidence that they then manifest that into a really great playthrough of the piece, because they do need to just kind of relax and forget about it. That doesn't help me at all. I can either play it or I can't play it. I've either done the work or I haven't done the work, and then it either comes out the end of my bell or it doesn't. And sometimes I feel like I have done the work, but something happened and I don't get a good result. Sometimes I get too nervous still, but I get a lot less nervous if I feel like I've done the work. So that's what we're going to do a little bit of tonight. I'm watching the sort of clock on the computer, my binary clock up here, that we had a power outage, I guess probably weeks ago now, but I've put my clock in a hard to reach place, so and it's a binary clock, so it's not easy to just kind of like reach over and just do it and only have to reach once, I have to like calculate it every time. So don't put your, if you want my advice, don't put your binary clocks in hard to reach places, kids. Okay, so let's get to playing. Like I said, I've got my cutout. I want to do a little bit of easy cutout buzzing that just gets me warmed back up. Like I said, it's been 11 hours since I played, but I still should have some of the artifacts of having warmed up. I haven't slept yet or anything like that. So, and I've been drinking water pretty consistently today, so we'll see. Just trying to go as easy as I can, but still active, right? Get my lips buzzing a little bit. I am still favoring, or I still have some very light irritation just under the rim on my top lip from a couple of days ago when I went a little too hard. So that's, again, that's still in the back of my mind. I want to make sure that I'm not favoring it, but also that I'm not re-injuring it. And so by cramming my mouthpiece in that same way, in that same spot over and over again. In that way, I guess, favoring it, but by putting that, by intentionally putting that burden in, on the rest of the embouchure in a more even way. And then if I feel pain in some other way, then I'm going to, you know, either stop or re-even it out. But I'm doing this super low register stuff too because it's fairly low impact, but if you do it right, you use a lot of your muscles. So I'm warming up my muscles as well. I always do that too. I love to put pressure with just my pinky. It's a bad habit. It's a really good kind of exercise. A lot of people do mouthpiece buzzing this way. I like cutout especially this way, where different texts will tell you different things. Some say make sure you always lock into pitches because, you know, to real trumpet pitches when you're doing buzzing, because you don't need to play in between the notes. You don't want to get a funny sense of pitch. And I understand that, but also that you want to, other books say that you want to do sirens because you want to fill in those gaps. You don't want to lock into things. I think you can do both. I don't know why you shouldn't. You can do a siren up to a pitch and know that's where that pitch is. Now, I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't much care either way. I don't feel like I'm going to suddenly hear wrong because once I play two notes on any trumpet, I'm going to know where the pitch center is supposed to be. And occasionally I do too much buzzing off the center of the pitch without a drone or anything. And it does sound funny to me when I pick up a trumpet because I've been hearing a quarter tone off, basically. But it doesn't take long to fix. So I don't worry too much about the... I think you should lock... when you're buzzing a passage or when you're buzzing a scale, yeah, you want to lock in. But if you're buzzing for more for embouchure things, more for air things, then you want to fill in the gaps, because when you skip over them, sometimes you fail to reveal a problem in your playing that you could fix. So that's what I'm doing. And I want to do higher things because I want to make sure I'm applying that pressure into the bottom lip as much as the top and not sort of one more than the other. So a little bit goes a long way too. If I do this all night, I will get a good workout, but I'm not looking for that. I'm just trying to get warmed up. I could also do some regular mouthpiece buzzing. That might be helpful. That's sort of a good example of it there, where I'm gliding between the notes, but I'm still kind of agreeing on a center to the pitch. I see I have one person viewing. I can't believe it. Thanks for sticking it out with me late into the evening. Now, I could play some regular trumpet, and I think I will, but I want to be very careful about what I play. If I'm not going to play for more than 15 minutes and it's all supposed to be about piccolo, what regular trumpet should I play is the question. We had some very good success with the D trumpet, so that might be a good suggestion. It's also very small, but I think I'm just going to do C trumpet. Honestly, it's a familiar trumpet. It's not high, but it's not the lowest, and that matters a lot less than I think people will usually feel like it does. There's a lot of different philosophies about how to play piccolo well. Some people say it's very specialized and you have to play it, respect how small it is and play it in a small way. I think that's true. Other people will say you don't play it any differently. You just play it like a big trumpet and the trumpet does all the work. I think that's also true. It's incredible to me that those two camps don't just shake hands and agree with each other, because it's both. The physics of what's going on you should be trying to exploit them in the same way for good trumpet playing. So if you understand that, then you are going to play it just like a big trumpet, but you're going to match the small trumpet, which is the other camp, right? It's small, so you need to respect that and play in a small way. Yeah, you need to match the horn you're playing just like any horn. So as long as we do that, we should be kind of setting up the right kind of thing. And of course, no, this is almost twice the size, so it's not going to feel the same literally, but I want to feel the action of it. I want to feel the production working the same. That's what we're really looking for. So I just need to find a horn that I feel really good about my production on, and this is definitely one of those. I could even do some lead pipe buzzing if I wanted to, but this late in the day, my lip tends to get fried really fast on any kind of intense exercise like lead pipe buzzing, so I'm not going to do it. I will work on my turnaround though. That's going to be important. So we're kind of getting somewhere. I don't want to play too long for any given amount of time. I'm still feeling like I'm getting warmed up. I'm not there yet. But that's okay. I'm just I want to take my time, and then I'm only going to play piccolo for a very short time. But like I said, I need to get myself into it. I need to feel comfortable on it, and then I can pick back up where I left off tomorrow because I calibrated it well. and maybe worked on this a little bit. So let's see if we can get there pretty quickly, and then see how much time we want to spend there. Now I'm just playing around on dumb things, but I tend to do this when I'm trying to just get re-warmed up and get my production good. I'm thinking about the sound and the sound that I want to play with and the feeling that I want to have when I play, and then I'm just kind of playing whatever notes. Like I call these noodles sometimes, after Trent Austin's noodles that he would do every week for a long time. You just play whatever anybody wanted him to play and whatever he felt like playing. And so I go, yeah, I can do that and noodle around, right? And it's a really good way to just focus on your production, because you're not worried about what notes you're playing. You're not playing on a page. You're just playing by ear, and even then you don't really care what comes out, except that it feels good and sounds good, right? So it's a good, if you know how you want your production to set up, it's a really good way to get that very quickly. And then you need to do some tonguing on it, right? So I could do this all night, but I won't. I am going to play some piccolo eventually. So now I'm also going kind of quickly from one thing to the next. That's because I'm not feeling too much fatigue, because I'm not allowing myself to get to a place where I could feel that, right? I'm only playing for, I don't know, 30 seconds at a time at max. And when I do, I'm focused on efficiency, right? I'm focused on making sure that the way that I play is a good way to play, which is a very simple concept that I think a lot of people don't necessarily ever think about, right? If you try to make your playing feel easier, a lot of times you'll do more work, but it's about how it works, right? How it functions, how the production is really easy and even. In other words, that you might do a lot of work, but you always get what you want. And that should be a major focus, right? No matter what instrument you play, I hope. Other instruments focus on this more, because for them, it's a matter of their career longevity. Well, for everyone, really. But if you play a string instrument, we don't even really hold those in a way that's good for our body. At least with trumpet, I mean, I have a bad shoulder habit, and it's not really the greatest instrument to hold, but think about every other instrument, everybody's instrument. Horn is sort of awkward. The tuba is giant, so even if it sits on a stand or in your lap, it's still a lot to carry around. You could do a lot of dumb things. The trombone is definitely not an idiomatic instrument. There is an ergo bone, but everybody hates that. And then all the string instruments are like, one arm's way off in the distance, and the other arm is doing this complicated finger stuff just to hold the bow the proper way. And, you can get all kinds of shoulder injuries one way or another. So we actually have a very ergonomic instrument. If they don't think about making their best production easy, then they just tend not to play for very many years. And that's not acceptable, right? If you want to have a career in it. So, but trumpet players, we tend to just be like, just practice more. And piano players are the worst of us, right? Their instrument isn't really idiomatic or unidiomatic. It's just out there, right? They don't have to hold it at all. And so they tend to practice way more hours than everyone else, right? But they also can over practice very easily. So we have to think more like kind of both sides. We have to think about ergonomics, ease of production, making sure that what we want comes out, and that we're willing to do physical work to get that. But at the same time, we can't overplay because we can hurt ourselves in a very permanent way very quickly, and especially on the tiny trumpets, right? The higher they are, the more damage they can do when we just kind of try to goose it and go for it. So anyway, that's a nice little rest. I'm going to take one more swig of water here. And we'll just play my favorite little kinds of warm-ups. I need to clean this horn. I've been putting it off. The fourth valve is sticky now, and that is to be expected because the tolerances are so close on this. So hopefully I can fix it. Otherwise, I guess I'll play the Yamaha. But and I sort of wish I did have a tuner, but again, just playing nothing, just sounds in, different keys, right? Just trying to make things feel comfortable and get the sound and the playing aligned so that when I play the sound that I like to hear, I'm also playing the feelings that I want to feel, right? And not in a emotional way at all, but just like, am I pressing too hard, or I really mostly think about the release of the air. Does the air feel like it's restricted, like I'm pinching or pressing in some bad way? Does it feel like it's falling out where maybe the aperture is too wide? Or I'm also pressing can do that, right? Depending on your dentition. Does it feel just right? Does it feel like when I blow, the lips vibrate and the note responds through the whole horn? Do I feel like the horn is doing work with me, right? And that all has to do with the release of the air. The release of the air is affected by lots of things, so you can't just say, oh, well, my release is wrong, let me fix it. But kind of you can. You can kind of just say, it feels restricted, let me just try to get it to open up. Or, oh, it feels too open, let me adjust something so that I have a little more compression there, right? So you don't have to know all the parts. I mean, it's tongue position, it's support, it's the size of your mouthpiece, the size of your backbore, the shapes of your backbore and mouthpiece, the length of the horn, the size of the bore. It's literally everything goes into the feeling of the release of the air, but you're the one that controls it based on all that other stuff, right? So don't overthink it. You just you want to adjust it, but you want to make sure it stays the same no matter what notes you're playing. That's the easiest thing to say and the hardest thing to do on trumpet, but the most important, I think. Okay, so now we might look at some of the spots. I need to work my way up to, I think, a high G, but that might not be safe this evening, so we'll see. really trying to go little chunk by little chunk, and just steps in the right directions. I'm obviously working at on the beginning of the third movement now. I'm trying to get that first G to feel like a really natural, easy note for me to play, as opposed to the low C, which is the one that just does actually feel easy. And I want that perfect fifth upward. I want that to be almost no work. And right now the D feels like work. So ah, yes, I live alone, and this is one of the benefits. So sorry, not sorry to those of you who have live-in girlfriends or partners or whomever, or just roommates. It must also be nice to have people around you all the time, though, right? And then sometimes you want to get away. But this is why we have offices. So if you can't practice in your home at 11, you can go to work. But luckily, this is where I did all my work for a year. So first valve, of course, is sticking. Like I said, this desperately needs to be cleaned. But if you meant that I can practice piccolo like chops-wise at 11, then... oh, sorry, if you're watching this later, it won't make any sense. One of my students commented that he's so jealous that I could practice pick at almost 11 p.m. LOL. And so if you meant like that it is possible to do it at that time, because a lot of people hate playing, well, most people hate playing early in the morning, which is a mistake. Your body is in much better shape to do work early in the morning, so you should just warm up first thing. That's really the best thing you can do, which is what I did this morning. Well, if not first thing, 10:15 was several hours after I woke up, but it was the first actual thing I did, basically, right? And I usually warm up a little earlier than that still. But yeah, your body is tired late at night, but nothing about the trumpet is any different. The trumpet is the same. So you just have to get your body into well, it's actually a great time to learn coordination because your body doesn't want to do it on its own. So you have to sort of you have to force your body to do the things that you know you're supposed to do. And if you don't know what those things are, either physically or intellectually, then you don't have a shot at that, right? You can't ask your body to do stuff that you don't know anything about. So, but you can learn by comparing your evening and morning practices and say, yeah, this sucked last night. I couldn't put, two lips together to make a fire. And now, all of a sudden, I can play like the whole piece down. What's going on? That's when you're about to learn something. You go, well, okay, what really is going on? Like last night I felt this, now I feel this. And, that's, okay, why do I feel fatigue in this spot? Oh, I'm pressing really hard there. Why do I do that? Why did I do that last night, but I'm not doing it today? Well, oh, I see, because I'm using muscle. You can learn a lot. He also says, do you still try to warm up early even when you have late night sessions? that really depends on the session. So for instance, this week we're doing Brandenburg at, I think it's like 6:30 rehearsals, and then 6:45 is the concert. That's late, and I won't play a note before I warm up specifically for that on those days, most likely. Well, no, that's not true, because so actually, no, this is a perfect example. I wouldn't have, but now I have a lesson on Monday and a lesson on Tuesday, and that I didn't originally plan, but that's the only time those people can do it, and so I'm going to teach 2 lessons, and on the dress rehearsal days. So I need to warm up before those lessons. I don't have to. I could just play the lessons cold, but then my warm-up will be playing those lessons cold for the Brandenburg later. That's not a great warm-up. So I'd rather do a really careful, conscientious warm-up that's short in the morning and be ready for those lessons, to sort of keep my chops centered and make sure I'm playing the right ways. So basically just kind of a calibration like we did today. You might not have been on for that part, but just kind of do some calisthenic calibration stuff, play some long... I wouldn't play a whole set of long tones, but I might play a few medium tones. I definitely do some light lip slurs, probably do some lead pipe buzzing, and mouthpiece stuff. And then I'd play the lesson, and I'd just play as much as I need to play in the lesson, but try to play the right way every time, which I always do, because when you're in a lesson, that's when you need to be on your... even more so than a performance, you need to play really great in a lesson because somebody's watching you and trying to learn from you, right? And then later in the day, I'll do a very quick piccolo warm-up that's probably only, 2 or 3 minutes, just kind of like I'm doing now, actually. But my warm-up is a routine, so if my late night session is not anything really super difficult, then yeah, I do my full routine, and then by the time nighttime comes around, I feel like I haven't played yet today at that point, right? But that way I've learned to play the trumpet better today, and then I have time to recover before I have to play. Most times I like to keep my warm-up close to the gig, though. So what I used to do when I played a lot of orchestra stuff is I would show up at the gig 2.5 hours early, which I've mentioned many times to my students. And at that point, I would start warming up, and I get a really nice, easy, even warm-up, as well as just feel comfortable in the space and meet all the people that are coming in early. And there's a lot of benefits to that. And so I do that so that I could get there, because otherwise, if you warm up at home, then by the time you get to the gig, you're cold again, and you can even, if it's actually cold outside, you can get chapped lips because you just played and they're swollen, and now they're hot and they're moist, and now they're outdoors and the moisture's getting wicked away, and so I would just keep chapstick on until I got into the environment that I was actually going to play it, and then I could wash it off and practice. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but yeah, I always do a morning session if it's not going to cost me the evening gig, and if it is going to, then I basically don't warm up for that day. It sucks because I don't get better that day. I just kind of get a little worse, but I try to double down the next day and do something at least. So, all right, let's see if that stuck. Nope, see, perfect. So just this kind of stuff, right? Calibrating, being very patient. I'm talking a little more than I would normally rest, but that's just down to impatience. When I'm talking, I have something else to do instead of just sit here and look at the music and wait until I feel better. So I tend to actually rest more than I would if I wasn't talking to anybody. So even just watching TV is a bad one for me because I'll have it on and I'll be practicing, and if it's interesting to me, I'll sit down, which is always a mistake because then it's 19 or 20 minutes until I remember. I feel like I just sat down, and then I rest too long, or I know that I'm not that interested in the TV show or whatever, and so I'll just kind of like stand at my stand and watch the TV in the distance, and have my horn still in my hand, and I'm actually still really kind of concentrating on the music and practicing. I'm just not allowed to practice yet. And then I'll look at I did this morning actually, and then I'll look at my timer and I'll be like, 2.5 minutes is enough, and because I want to play again, right? It's just good to know what it is. If you're not resting enough, you want to rest more, but if you don't know how much you rest, you can't adjust that interval in any way. Same thing if you rest too much, then you need to rest less and play more constantly during your sessions. But if you don't write down what those times are, you'll never know. And you might be very frustrated by your practice sessions because maybe you do exactly the same thing that your teacher does, or that that you heard somebody else, your favorite famous trumpet player, or maybe just your friend who you look up to and admire, right? And you do exactly the same stuff that they do in the same way, in the same order, with the same amount of time, and it doesn't work for you. And you're like, I just feel like I'm never warmed up. Well, yeah, maybe that's too much rest for you. Maybe you need to hit it harder. Or maybe you feel like trash all the time when maybe you go to school and practice with the same person, and sort of take the same breaks. And like, they always seem to be able to practice another half hour after you're already toast. Yeah, well, they might have a natural ability to play a little longer than you, and even though you're basically at the same level, like, their times don't work for you. So you got to figure that out, and you do that by keeping a journal. So yeah, we don't need to do much more than that. That's good. How about this one? I need to do this one triggered. Yeah, sure. He asked if you can send me some PDFs of what he's going to do over the summer. Yes, absolutely. And you might have noticed if you're listening to this later, or you're my student listening, I didn't try to play the double high A too hard, and that's exactly what I want to train myself to do. I know that. Well, I'm going to play it through the vented fourth valve. I already decided that, but I can't do that now because the valve will stick down. Which is a good argument. If I was my own teacher, then I would say, why haven't you cleaned that horn? If you want to practice it, you need to go clean it so that it will work, right? Yep, I do. But I also know that if I go for it 1 and 2, or third valve or whatever, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not going to get it out. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to make sure that I get it out, right? But up until then, I can't do that. Otherwise, it might cost me the Wednesday performance. So what I need to learn is how to play the passage without forcing it out, and just trust it. So and like that. Also, I realized I switched movements and didn't mention it. It's just, these are the 2 pages that are sitting out on my stand, because I knew that they included things I wanted to practice. Although I ought to be careful not to get them mixed up in any way. Yeah, where is this from? Oh, that's this. Okay, I see. That's what it is. Here's another spot I wanted to do. Let's see. So that's a spot for me where I know if I don't really shoot the air through the horn, I can try to pinch it with my lips and press. And I did press a little, but it's okay to press as long as you've got muscle and air behind it. Then you can control the damage, so to speak. You want to do that. Oh, I forgot about this. We've got to. So I have to practice going. Because we're going to take a break there, which I suggested. This is not my best rehearsal technique. I did such a good job most of that rehearsal, but I asked a question that I didn't want the answer to, which was, are we going to take a break there like some groups do, which suggests that I want to do it, and I absolutely did not want to. I just wanted to make sure we didn't, and instead, now we are. So that's what I get. Let's see. And also the way that ending sort of, there might be a break there. I asked for it. This one I explicitly said, let's not take a break there, please. But they're going to, because they're string players, right? They like that sort of feeling of air in the room. I mean, it's beautiful. It builds tension in certain places, and at the ends of pieces, it builds a sense of release, like this is the final note, right? But it's just a death sentence for us. So we'll see. I explicitly asked for it on the third movement to not be a break, and I will not be breaking. If I don't feel like I can place that last note well, I'm just going to go right into it, and they can all be late. But, and that's the kind of thing you have to decide, you know. So anyway, is there anything else I want to do? Let's do this one. And it's okay. So, all right, that was about the amount of time I wanted to play. I don't want to play 1,000 high Gs. That's stupid. I don't want to play 1,000 notes. That's also stupid. It's very late. I might play one more little passage here. Yeah, this is the one I want to do. All right, this is Michael. So my high F sharps and high Gs are flat, which I don't want, but the solution for me to get the pitch up is basically to press harder. And there's no way around that. I'm not sure why it's happening, because usually those are sharp notes. I think it's this combination of mouthpiece and horn, honestly. The cup is so shallow, but the backbore is a little more open. And, you know, that might be making it harder for me to keep that pitch up. Or maybe it's just I play a lot differently now. But what I need is strength to keep the lips closer together. And you'd think that it was tongue position, because that does help control intonation, absolutely. But if your lips are too far apart or getting blown apart, no amount of tongue position can fix that pitch, right? It's being, even if you have a higher tongue position, you're losing all the pitch that you would have gained at the lip. So really, the last thing in the order of the air is what's going to affect the pitch the most in terms of your body. And so I can feel that I'm pressing a little bit unevenly on those notes. So as I bring it into even, I'm letting the lips go a little bit, and that's not going to get fixed tonight. So that's all there is to that. Sorry if to my student who's watching, if I haven't actually answered your question, yes, please send me the PDF, and I would absolutely love to look at it and see what your experiment looks like. I will finish this with a very short story. I once did a summer practice experiment, and I may have told you this to my student, but I had a summer in between, I believe, Interlochen years, but it might have, no, it was college. It must have been college by then. So in between two semesters in two semesters in college, 2 years in college, and yeah, that still definitely doesn't work, and somehow still does. I'm not gonna. Yeah, we're not talking about it. I'm gonna figure it out someday. But anyway, so yeah, so I had this completely free summer, which is a rare thing to me today. But even students these days, everybody goes home and works for the summer, or they, have some summer classes because they're trying to get caught up. Everybody's doing crazy stuff these days. But I had a whole summer free. I could do whatever I wanted. I had a car. Well, I mean, one of my parents, let me use their car anytime I wanted. And my dad was off. He might have been actually at Interlochen at that point. But my dad was gone for basically the whole summer, and I had a key to his office. He taught at Center College at the time. So it was about a 15 or 20-minute drive into town, not very long. And I worked out that, now I could practice at home during the day, but I worked out that if I really wanted to get good at my fundamentals, that I should try to do 2 routines every day. But the problem is, after you've warmed up, stuff like long tones doesn't really feel really great later in the day. It takes it out of you. And I thought, yeah, geez, and you don't really reset your body doesn't feel reset until you've really slept and rested. And so I thought, well, I guess I could take a nap. But then if you've ever tried to play after you took a nap, you feel even worse somehow, right? Because it's not really full rest. So I was like, all right, I need to get one at least sleep cycle in. So here's what I did. I took the day. It's 24 hours in a day. I just split it 12 and 12, right? And I wanted to see my family some. So I knew I wanted to eat at least lunch and dinner with them, because not all of us eat breakfast. So I said, okay, great. So I woke up. So you sleep. I'm going to struggle to remember this, but I believe you sleep 6 hours, right? Woke up at 6 in the morning, ate a little bit of a meal, just something small, took a shower, went into school, practiced, warmed up, whatever, from 7 to 9, basically. And then I had a little time to do whatever I want in the morning when everybody else was actually kind of getting up. Or I could just kind of stay there and do research on the internet, or rip more CDs into my computer from my dad's collection, or whatever I wanted to do. Right? I practiced for 2 or 3 hours, and then I could spend the rest of the time. And then I'd go home and eat lunch with everybody, right, at maybe 11 or 12, and then immediately go to sleep, wake back up at 6 for dinner with everybody else, right? So I'd kind of just eat and go to sleep and then eat again, but I was a teenager, I could do it. And then go back into school, because now everybody else was going to sleep, but I would go into school and practice for another 2 or 3 hours. And then I'd get back home and just kind of stumble into bed by about midnight and do it all over again. So I did that for 2 weeks. I thought I was going to do it all summer. I did it for 2 weeks, and what happened was, if you only, well, first of all, I didn't always sleep all 6 hours, because I would hit one sleep cycle, which was 4.5 or 5 for me, and then it would be time to get up. So I'd wake up super groggy in the beginning of my second cycle, and I just kind of, oh boy, all right. And I also don't think that I slept. I don't think I got any real REM cycle sleep during that whole time because I started to. I was also messing with my biological clock based on the sun because one morning was normal, but the other morning was like opposite, right? Like I'd wake up and the sun would rise, and then I'd wake up again and the sun would set. So I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know what time it was. I was forgetting things. I like would be in the basement and not remember if I had warmed up yet or not. His office was in a basement. I was like completely insane because I kept we're so not used to doing a schedule like that. But I mean I got a lot done for 2 weeks. I really did. I wasn't keeping a journal at the time, which was a big mistake. But I didn't know about the trumpet journal yet. So if I'd kept a journal, I might have been better. But I had like a notepad that I sort of kept some notes on that was kind of not the same, but somewhat. And so I focused on those things that were on the notepad, and I got those things done over those 2 weeks. And then my body couldn't take it anymore, so I slept. I decided not to do a morning session one day, and that was the end of the whole thing. I woke up and was like, I don't even know if I'm going to play today. This sucks. And I did. I went in and I played for like an hour, and then just felt tired, and so it was ambitious, and there was some intelligence to it, but it would have been better if I just woken up and practiced as much as I could, and then done normal things and practiced a little bit more later, like a normal person would. My dad just this morning, or just today, I talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been getting into a pretty good routine. I wake up, around 6 or so, and I just do just a little bit of practice, just an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then and then I just do some other things." And I'm listening to him speak, and I'm like, that's the maximum I ever practice every day. Like 2 hours is a good warm up and practice session for me. But he's been doing it so long, like that's just a little practice for him. And then he plays more in the afternoon after lunch if he wants to practice, right? So, and I think that's a good way to think about it. It's like your routine should take an hour or two, and you get everything done, but you do it real carefully, and you don't feel bad afterwards. And then later in the day, if you have something to actually practice, like a piece, or you want to run through your scales or whatever it is that you need to do, then you have another hour or two later, and then you've played 4 hours. I mean, and routinely you will do that on gigs and things, so it's a good habit to be in the first place. But anyway, all right, it's too late. I don't need to be awake anymore. So thanks to my student for joining me. I hope you will continue to do this even though you are going to another school. It would be nice to keep a connection going, and you can tell me all the fun things you're learning and ask me better questions, because you will have a new perspective that will allow for that, right? So I think that would be super cool. And I think you can tell me if you think that I will get away with this, but I'm thinking about making these also something that I either very strongly suggest or require. Not obviously the impromptu ones, but I want all my students, I think, to see what I consider real practice, and I'm not sure that everybody always knows that. So anyway, so this has been about just, you can't wait till tomorrow, and we got a lot done. We didn't hurt ourselves too bad, I don't think. I don't feel too bad, and I think if I actually get a good night's sleep tonight, then tomorrow I can really hit it hard, very carefully, and I will stream as much of that as makes sense. I might do it in very small pockets, and then that might not be, I'm not going to stream all day. Although I guess people do that. Maybe if I move my stream into the other room, then I can do, well, maybe I'll do a real Twitch stream where like I practice and play video games and eat lunch and do all those things. I'm not going to eat lunch on camera though. Some people get skeezy about that, and other people like it too much. So, not my people necessarily, but the internet's forever. Don't put it on the internet if you don't want weird people to look at it weirdly. Yeah. So anyway, terrible way to end this stream, but I'm tired and I don't care. So, see you soon. Oh, there's 2 of you now. I would love to know who the other one of you is. Anyway, that's been a little late night Brandenburg. Stay tuned this week for all of the other little bits and pieces. I'll even try. I got some new equipment, and I'm gonna try to set something up even for the dress rehearsals and maybe live stream those as well. That might be interesting, with everyone's permission, of course, or at least my little portion of it in my little stand world with Michael and me. So we'll see what we can get done. Otherwise, I'll make a short video about the live stream, and you can watch the performance. All right. Probably see you tomorrow.